So hello everyone. Today we'll be building a very simple COVID data tracker. So if you have been following COVID statistics, you must have visited this website called as Worldometers. And if you scroll down a bit, can see this amazing table which has all the data of COVID data of countries around the world based on total cases, new cases, and all those parameters. So we're going to be building something like this, a really simple one, but you can actually scale it to this level. I will be only using JavaScript and no CSS at all, so it would be like really bad in styling, but I think you guys can work on that thing. I will only focus on the functionality part, and you'll be able to build it in like just like less than 50 lines of code, I believe. So we'll be using this API. I will have the link in the description. So if I make a get request to it, it will return me this JSON data. So a lot of in the countries field, you can get an array of all the countries data. So I'm getting the new confirm, total confirm. So all these values that are being present in this website that I'm getting here. So coming to my setup part, it's really simple. I just created this HTML thing that VS Code generates for me, and the table tag I have added, and the row tag and the head thing with an ID of table. And I've also used script tag to connect my JavaScript, which is only just one line of code, which is basically just getting the reference to the table thing. So how can I actually get the data from the API? So JavaScript has this function called as fetch, which if we pass our API URL, what the fetch function actually returns me is a promise. So we'll try to resolve it with the then thing. And what then takes a callback to execute when the promise is resolved. So we'll get a response from this callback function and we'll convert it to JSON. And what this JSON function actually returns is another promise. So if I do dot then, and now I can actually get the data. Now if I save and go to an opening with the live server, you can see in the console that it's returning with this object. And if you see the countries field of the object, it's basically an array of my country data. So it's giving me all the information that I want. What I'll do is let's just try to print the countries data only instead of that entire object. Yeah, now it looks good. So it's giving me all the data that I actually want. So let's just try to copy an object just for our reference so that we can work on the functionality on adding the rows and elements and all those things. Now whenever I get the data, I will fire a function called as render data. We haven't created it, so let's just try to create it. So const render data. This takes data as a parameter, which is basically this thing. So now that I know that I'm getting this array, and what I basically want to do is render a row for each country, and inside that every column should be having some field, such as the name of the country, such as the total cases, the new cases, and all those things. But how can I actually do it? So what we'll do is for each data we'll create a row element, and for each fields we'll create a column element, and then we'll push this inside the table element. So let's just try to first loop over the data that we have. So data dot for each. Now we are getting each country's data, which will be stored in this d variable. Now we'll create a row using the document dot create element. We'll create the tr tag here, and inside the tr tag we will add our row. So I'll just copy this thing over here. So we'll be having another row, column too. So we will, first thing is the country. If you see this thing, so d dot country, and the second one would be, let's just replace all of these. So first one is the total confirmed, so d dot total confirmed, then it's gonna be d dot total deaths, then it's gonna be total recovered, mistake. Now that I have all these things, let's just try to console.log it. So you can see all my tr tags being printed out here, so tr and then the td. So now let's just try to push it inside the table element. So after all these elements are actually created, we'll use the table reference and use the append child function and pass the row element here. So now if I save and remove all these things, you can actually see all the country data being rendered here, which is pretty cool. So now if you want to convert this application into something like this, we just have to work on the styles and probably work on sorting these things. There's a couple of tutorials that you can follow to sort the data, but I think creating a bare model application like this can give you an idea on how you can actually build it. It's super easy to scale this to this thing. Let me know if you have any questions in this exercise. So yeah, thank you for watching. See you in the next video.